Yeah, take your time. We've not me and John have nothing to do anyway.
Good. And we are rolling.
Cool.
So you can stop your tirade of abuse.
This is we must be setting a record for consecutive shows without a year in between.
Definitely. We actually are, all joking aside, we are, because back when we were recording just the audio. What?
What's this, 4 or 5?
This is episode, tell you now, this is episode 5.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get that into us.
Right, so this is kind of this is going to be an episode that's not necessarily about a card in particular. We're going to call this episode a legacy fighter episode, where we'll kind of talk about, it doesn't even have to be a retired fighter, sure doesn't.
No.
Not necessarily, no.
Just kind of someone who's already kind of carved out their legend status.
Someone you enjoy seeing fighting and
yeah,
it's in your brain, like.
So, which one of you lads wants to take the wheel and go first?
I'll go first. I had BJ Penn. And I suppose I was looking at him from the idea of, you know, the way you hear a lot of like boxing fans and, you know, fight fans be talking about MMA fighters' records. Oh, he's 20-10. That's a bullshit record, and you know, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like if you look at, so a newbie, I'll just show you now. But I when you go in and like we had this before when we talked about Fedor, about when you go into someone's record and really look at it, then you start to get the full picture.
Yeah.
So if someone Googles BJ Penn, they don't really know anything about him. His record isn't great.
It's very, very checkered.
16-14.
Yeah.
But then when you actually look at it, so first of all, I think we better go out, like I'll be straight up and say, by his own admission, not the greatest trainer in the world.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of grinding it out. A lot of times showed up, like when I say, like, kind of one of those blokes that probably trained and fought.
Yeah.
Not someone who would have really locked themselves down for 10, 12 weeks, come in incredible shape. Just wasn't really what he was known for, right? So, but when you start examining his record...
just to pop in there, which makes you wonder what he could have been like had he had those sort of camps.
Yeah.
He could have been a fucking world ender.
Oh, yeah. So, if we look at his record, he won his first 3 fights. One against Joey Gilbert. I don't know anything about him. Then he beat Dean Thomas stoppage, Caol Uno stoppage. He lost his 4th fight to Jens Pulver, that was Jens' 15th fight.
Yeah.
So his first loss was to someone who had 5 times as many fights as him. When he fought, and as well as that, Dean Thomas is no joke. Dean Thomas is around an awful long time.
Yeah.
When BJ Penn beat him, that was his 14th fight. So in BJ's 2nd fight, he stopped Dean Thomas, and Dean Thomas already had a record of 12-1.
Okay, yeah.
He goes on, he wins another 2, 1 by stoppage. He decisions Matt Serra. He has a draw against Caol Uno. And the other thing is, a lot of people won't know anything about Caol Uno.
I love Caol Uno.
Was no joke. 58 fights, 33 wins, 20 losses. Again, like a lot of them in Japan, fought out of his weight class an awful lot, fought very regularly.
As well. He knocked him out quick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Real fucking quick, like.
So the first time he beat him was 11 seconds left in the first round.
Jesus.
So he goes on. He has a split draw then with Caol Uno. He beats Takanori Gomi, Matt Hughes. Now, people have to remember, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, you're looking at fighters, we all know there's a reason there's weight classes. There's a real reason.
Yes.
By modern standards, BJ is barely a featherweight.
Yeah.
Statistically. He beat Matt Hughes, who was always a welterweight. And not only that, everyone always said, I read Matt Hughes' book, but I remember I read a couple of other books, and everyone always said, if he got his fucking hands on you,
see, Matt Hughes,
bear grabbing you.
Yeah, he's one of those, just solid. Big time.
You know, never lift weights, but could go in and bench 320 pounds, you know, deadlifts, just a fucking monster. A Division 1 wrestler, an experienced fighter.
One of the best welterweights of all time.
Really.
Let's be honest, he really was.
So that when BJ Penn beat Matt, that brought BJ to 7-1-1, so seven wins, 1 loss, and the 1 draw.
Yeah.
Matt Hughes' record at the time was 35-4.
Jesus Christ.
So people forget, like, someone training for a year against someone training for 3 months, that's a massive difference. Someone with 10 fights and someone with fucking 30 fights, it's a huge difference.
Massive.
So he beats he beats Matt Hughes, who was way more experienced than him, way bigger than him, way stronger than him. He'd no business fighting a welterweight ever. He then goes, submits Dwayne Ludwig. He moves over to K1 MMA. He submits Dwayne Ludwig. He beats Rodrigo Gracie. He then loses a unanimous decision to Lyoto Machida, who would later go on to be the light heavyweight champion of UFC.
Yeah. What weight was that?
Weight. So Penn weighed in at 191 pounds.
Yeah.
Machida weighed in at 225.
Jesus Christ.
So not only that, this will tell you how good BJ Penn was. His record, again, patchy. This is how good he was. Lyoto Machida said that he was one of the toughest opponents he ever had. So he was giving up 5-6 inches in height, probably 7, 8, 9 inches in reach, 35 pounds in weight. But as well as that, he was probably carrying 30 extra pounds of fat that he didn't normally carry. Yeah. And he still went with a decision in 3 5s. That was in Japan. He then beats Renzo Gracie. Then he loses a split decision to George St. Pierre, probably the greatest welterweight we've ever had, one of the greatest pound fighters we've ever had. He gets stopped by Matt Hughes. He goes back to lightweight. He beats Jens Pulver again. So he subs him. He subs Joe Stevenson, and he had that unbelievable performance against Sean Sherk. The flying knees, TKO.
Yeah.
Joe Stevenson fight, he fucking mauled him in that. That's one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life. It's
unbelievable.
Mauling.
Then he moves back up to welterweight. He loses by TKO corner stoppage to George St. Pierre. Goes back down.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, again, yet another fight he lost that should have never happened.
Yeah.
In the sense of, what was he doing?
Yeah.
He's 5'8". He's fighting at 155 pounds. Realistically, again, line him up against today's fellas who are adhering to their, all their strength and conditioning, their calorie influx and all that kind of stuff. He could probably be a 135er. He's not a 155er. He's definitely not a 175 a 70-pound fighter. And when it gets to that elite level, it's just different gravy, like. So he gets stopped, a TKO corner stoppage to St. Pierre. He goes back down to defend his lightweight title. He subs Kenny Florian, which is no fucking easy feat. And he then puts on one of the most complete performances against Diego Sanchez.
Unbelievable fight.
Just looked fucking
unbelievable fight.
And in fairness, Diego never stopped being the dog in the fight.
He never does.
He never does. But
was a doctor stoppage, wasn't it?
Doctor stoppage. He opened the head kick. He split.
He looked like Diego Sanchez had been in a knife fight. Didn't it?
And on that night, he was as good as any fighter has ever been.
That was such a good fight.
The Sean Sherk fight. On that night, he was as good as any fighter in the history of sport has ever been. His time and his boxing. He was never a kicker, yet he opens up Diego Sanchez with a head kick.
Yeah.
just kind of buys into the fact of just how ahead of he was. Diego Sanchez is still fighting. Anyone that looks at Diego Sanchez, you'll think his record is patchy at best. He was coming off a 3-fight win streak. Dog tough, probably at his best weight class. I know he went down to 145. I think he was probably better at 155.
He was dangerous when he was on the back foot. He was dangerous when people were taking it to him.
Yeah.
A lot of fighters were
young Diego.
Yeah, young Diego. Where
like you say,
young Diego.
The last bell, Sanchez is in there. Like, do you know what I mean? He's as tough as they come. Like,
And for every minute of that fight, BJ just looked like he was living on a different planet.
Yeah.
Like, amongst elite athletes, elite fighters, a fella who didn't like to train was just looking. He just made him look like you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I'm so far ahead.
Okay.
Then that was December 2009. Then by April he comes and he fights Frankie Edgar, and he did look like he had aged. Just in that short 4 months, he just looked like he'd lost his edge a little bit. Again, he fought Edgar twice, lost 2 decisions, both very close, very tight. I'm a huge fan of Frankie Edgar. Probably not my favorite performance of Frankie's, either of them, but a very tactical approach to the fight. It looked like they planned out how to win this fight. Was just being busy, peppering them, mixing a couple of takedowns when you can, threaten a takedown, peppering with punches, loads of movement. Because I suppose, especially at that stage in his career, his lateral movement, he'd gotten lazy with it, and he wasn't really moving as well as he had when he was that bit younger. But again, still against a younger, better conditioned fighter, it was 2 very, very close decisions. The second was probably a clearer one, but there still, had it gone the other way, no one would be in shouting robbery.
Yeah.
He then stops Matt Hughes.
Yeah.
Goes back up to welterweight, stops Matt Hughes. He actually, it was almost like he'd flipped the switch. He looked young, he looked fast. Remember, he threw a right uppercut, and you were like, holy fuck, he looks good again. Now, this is where I think it should have been done. So he fought John Fitch, and I remember he looked fantastic in the first round, and then he did nothing for the next 2. So I think it was a case of, did he win the first 2, and then it was a 10-8 for Fitch? It was something you could really see the size, the difference in size, just taking a massive toll. And after that, he should have retired, because it was just, unfortunately, a shit show after that.
Yeah.
He put himself through serious punishment. Nick Diaz punished the life out of him. He didn't go down. Rory McDonald punished him badly. He didn't go down. No knockdown. He looked like he was taking fucking horrendous shots. Remember, McDonald was hitting him shots to the body and everything. He didn't go down. Then he gets...
It was kind of painful to watch. I thought that should have been stopped.
Should have been stopped.
It's getting personal.
Teed off on. He gets stopped by Frank Edgar, and the reality is, I'm a huge Frank Edgar fan. He's had a couple of stoppages in his career, but he's not a big puncher. And yet you see in Penn just...
Volume fella, like the Diaz brothers, you know what I mean? They overwhelm you.
Yeah.
That was his last... Was that his last fight against Frankie?
Yeah.
That was a weird one. That was a very strange fight.
Then he gets stopped by Yair Rodriguez. He should have never been fighting.
Jeez, I remember. That was that fight. They were all making a big deal about Rodriguez coming up, and he's the new kid, and old kid versus new kid.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, I don't even think it was like roles reversed. BJ Penn was made to look like the amateur. You know what I mean? Like, he had nothing. Absolutely painful to watch. It was nothing.
He loses then to Dennis Seaver. Who, listen, Seaver isn't a bad fighter. He's well rounded. He's been around a long time. Good kickboxer. Dennis Seaver wouldn't have got out of a first round with a Prime Pen.
No.
Forget about it. Huh?
How did he lose that one?
Majority decision.
Jesus.
Then gets submitted by Ryan Hall. Listen, Ryan Hall, wizard on mat.
In fairness,
a beautiful submission.
That was a beautiful portfolio highlight reel submission.
100%.
Beautiful.
Prime BJ Penn doesn't get.
He
doesn't lay his hands on him.
he dived for the leg, switched himself upside down, grabbed the leg, rolled into the knee bar.
All the time.
Gorgeous.
And then he loses a decision to Clay Guida. But I think for anyone starting to enjoy the sport, and if you're really interested in why the sport is the way it is now, you have to look at BJ Penn's fight.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to. He was a trailblazer. He was Listen, he was taking fights. He was a fighter. He was taking fights he had no need to take. It made no business sense. He didn't have to do it, and he had no business taking them, and he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'll fight him. Like, nobody wanted to fight Matt Hughes. In the welterweight division, people didn't want to fight him because he was smoking everyone. He's massive power. Not that he was a great striker, but he had massive power. A smothering top game. You just couldn't deal with him. He was just ahead of his time. BJ goes up and submits him.
Yeah.
That for the first couple of years of his career, he was on a different level. And had he taken it as seriously as other fighters, I think his record would have been totally different. Absolutely. Like, I think, like, if you just look at it, I mean, he fought Lyoto Machida in March 2005 at 191 pounds. March 2006, he's fighting George St. Pierre.
Yeah, it's insane.
At 170. The body doesn't work like that. Like,
no, not in those sort of time frames, but those sort of thresholds.
Performance and recovery and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So even back then, when he was at his best, he wasn't taking it seriously. He just wasn't. That's the reality. And maybe that's what made him as good as he was. And people look at his record and go, "Geez, he wasn't great. He was unbelievably good."
Absolutely.
I mean, he's on the mat. He was outrageously good. His boxing, his timing. Listen, never a great kicker, but a very good improviser. Good, surprisingly good dirty boxing.
Yeah.
Balance.
Try taking him down.
No. Not happening.
I think he was that good. Even going into the Yair Rodriguez fight, you wouldn't be
tall.
Do you know what I mean? He was that good in the past where you would go, yeah, I'll give him this. Like,
he could take it if he gets a hold of him. He gets him on the ground. If he gets it, So I think for anyone getting into mixed martial arts, if you want to be more than just Conor McGregor will knock him out. If you don't want to be that guy, Google exists. Google other fighters, and then watch them fighting. And really look in. Like we all joke, like Google knows, but got in and look at the fighters he fought when they fought them. He was fighting fellas that were way more experienced than him, who'd been around a lot longer, were bigger, stronger, faster, and he was beating the shit out of them.
Big time.
He was submitting them. He was stopping them. He was on a tear. I mean, just there, Paul Creighton, TKO, Matt Serra decision. He does have the split draw. Caudono, who was no joke. He submits Gomi, submits Matt Hughes, submits Dwayne Ludwig, and beats Rodrigo Gracie, all in a row.
Yeah, that's a serious fucking lineup right there.
No, and then again submits Jens Pulver, submits Joe Stevenson, stops Sean Sherrick with TKO.
Yeah, I think BJ Penn as well suffered from a little bit of, as I like to call it, the Rampage Jackson syndrome, where it did depend to a certain extent what version of BJ Penn was turning up. He was one of those he was a cerebral fighter, but he was also, what would you say? He was also susceptible to his mental status at that particular time.
Rampage, they like the party.
That's it.
Some guys will leave a fight, they'll go back and watch a tape and get back into the gym. Some boys will take a month or two off after a fight, go party, and then trying to get back into training. And you're like, this again. And now all of a sudden you have a fight.
And some of them actually need that process. They need that, get out of shape, get into shape. They mentally, they kind of nearly need it, even though ultimately it doesn't no good and it shortens their career.
Mentally, but physically, it mightn't be a good thing. Like,
terrible thing.
100%.
Terrible.
Almost awful, like they need it, that kind of way.
Yeah.
They won't commit to it unless they have that process.
And I mean, it was no secret that he was. It was a secret insofar as where he's from, Hawaii. was kind of, I won't say secluded. It's not secluded, but it's out of the public eye, if you will. Yeah. Where anyone in the know, like anyone who would have been following his progress would have known he was constantly getting arrested for like bar brawls and shit like that in his hometown. Him and his brothers used to go cruising looking for trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no use to anyone.
No.
Still at it now.
Yeah, only up to recently. And
I don't think he's doing too well, but
no, he's not.
But for all our
some
three
big
followers,
enormous fat bloke knocked him out outside a bar there recently, didn't he?
And then he gets back up and he beats the shit out of him like 10 minutes later. But all our three followers, go and watch some early BJ Penn fights. You won't be disappointed. Watch the Diego Sanchez fight. Watch the Sean Sherk fight. And Sean Sherk, if there's a man that was taking steroids, it was Sean Sherk. He was a fucking freak on steroids.
Yeah,
watch those fights. Yeah, you know. Yeah. Well, I suppose we're watching time, so.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, good stuff. All right, John boy.
I'll kick on with Mark Hunt.
Nice.
Keep it long because I don't like the sound of my voice like Marcus. If there was ever, we're talking about O'Malley looking for the walk-off KO. If there's ever a walk-off KO, it's Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
He's, I think Mark Hunt is just one of these Samoan lads that grew up fighting in car parks. I was actually reading, when we were looking back on him there, I was reading, that's how we got into training. He was in a car park fight outside a nightclub, and the bouncer actually seen him spark like 2 or 3 guys out. And he's like, instead of doing that, why don't you come and train with me? And I think something like 2 weeks later, he was in 3 weeks later, he was put forward for a qualifying fight for K1.
No way.
So
just off the back of someone seeing him sparking lads out in a car park.
To the wall here, you have some of that, you have some of that. Tough boys, like, do you know what I mean? Grew up with a head full of concrete and power in the hands.
Fucking hands full of concrete.
Probably underrated, wasn't he? Technically, like, I remember watching Butch spar, and it was Peter Graham or one of the great kickboxers, like, underrated. Like,
I think, like, he plods along in there and he's like, and all of a sudden you're fighting a guy that's like, I have this fella, like, he's slow. Yeah. Next morning you're waking up in the hospital, you know what I mean? He's putting you into that slow pace.
Yeah.
And it'll explode on you. And
that plodding.
And he had fighted a night 3 times in the UFC against JDS, Antonio Silva, and Derek Lewis.
Let's face it. Look at those. Imagine getting a performance of the night against those 3 names.
Yeah.
Like, as well as that, the fight against Antonio Silva, probably the greatest heavyweight fight ever.
Definitely.
Savage. Absolutely.
5 rounds of back and forth. And what you're seeing in that fight was a kind of role reversal where Hunt went for takedowns and Silva was knocking Hunt down with shots. It was a crazy fight. It's probably one of my favourite Hunt fights.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to Mark before you jumped in, Paul, it's marred a bit by Silva pissing dirty after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of does put a dirty mark on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then it also shows.
Great fight.
It also shows then, because anyone who knows anything about steroids know how effective they are.
Yeah.
And the difference it makes between 2 people. The fact that he stayed in there. He stayed in there, arguably won the fight.
Yeah.
With someone who was younger than him, bigger than him, definitely in better shape than him, stronger than him, and on steroids.
Yeah.
Look at the second fight. Look what happened in the second fight.
Yeah.
Was that second round KO?
Second round KO, and made it look easy.
Yeah, very easy. Also, like JDS and Derek Lewis, they're both finishers. They can take your head off with one shot, like, and you stay there.
You've seen JDS knocked out Cain Velasquez 1 shot, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He had a KO of the night twice. Chris, I don't know how to say his name.
Tushker.
Yeah.
The right uppercut. Boom.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And the second one was Struve.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
Oh.
But to start off, I think I'm almost sure I heard at the weigh-ins, like, they were saying the height difference was the biggest ever in a fight in UFC at the time. Like,
yeah.
Like, Struve, like,
What was it?
3 foot taller than
What was it? What's Hunt like? 5'10"?
5'10", exactly. Yeah,
And
Drew was
6'11".
Yeah,
Something stupid, like something ridiculous. Like.
Crazy. It's madness, like. And he fucking did you ever see the X-ray of Struve's jaw?
Oh,
He cracked his fucking jaw wide open, like.
fucking hell!
Crazy, man.
Call a coroner.
Yeah,
I remember he was digging the body and he was going up, and it was just like he hurt Struve, and Struve backed away right into the
path of it. Yeah, it was absolute beauty.
Fucking power fist to the
yeah.
I don't think there's a human alive would have stayed standing for that shot. Though.
No, definitely not. He had a performance of the night against Roy Nelson and Frank Mir.
Yeah.
So that, like, look at all them fights, them handful of fights, like.
And he knocked out Nelson, didn't he?
Yeah.
Another walk off.
And no one was knocking out Nelson. Yeah.
No, I couldn't tell you someone else who's knocked down Nelson.
I don't think he has been knocked out.
No.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And you know what? He came frighteningly close. We and John were just talking about this, to being the champion. He fought Verdum, and he had Verdum knocked down twice and badly hurt.
Yeah.
Imagine how amazing, what story that would have been.
Yeah.
And that was where, like, if you, we know it, but for anyone who doesn't know it, when the UFC, was it Zuffa bought over...
That's right, Pride and Strikeforce.
Yeah. Hunt was offered 50 grand to drop his contract and walk
fight.
Yeah. And like to go on a run then to be in to a fight with Verdum for the title, like crazy, like like I don't think he was a massive heavyweight either.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like 5'10", so if he was that way inclined, he could have dropped weight and went down to 205. Like he was never. Do I have what he weighed? I don't think I have what he weighed.
Yeah,
he was always in around 250,
245, 250 kind of area.
2-inch reach.
Carrying weight, like.
Yeah. The list there of the lads he fought in K1 and UFC, and it's fucking crazy. Wait to hear this. Vanderlei Silva, Crow Cop, Josh Barnett, Fedor, Overeem, Melvin Manhoof, Gegard Mousasi, Ben Rothwell, Czech Congo, Stefan Struve, JDS, Antonio Silva, Roy Nelson, Verdum, Miocic, Mir, Lesnar, Overeem again, Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, and Oleanic. That's a crazy list of opponents. Like
that is,
especially for someone who came to the sport relatively late.
Yeah. Too.
Fucking hell.
And came to the sport via kickboxing.
Yeah.
He was never an MMA fighter.
That's it. You know, that's a while kickboxing is an unbelievable set of skills to bring in, it's definitely not as easy a transition as it is for a wrestler.
No, definitely not. He had to learn all the takedown defense and
he had heavy hips. He wasn't easy to take down.
He wasn't.
By the time he got to the UFC, like I know he'd been taken down a bit in Pride and that, but when he got to the UFC, he wasn't easy to, like he was short, so they did, like the big boys did have to get down that bit deeper. You weren't just going in and grabbing a leg and taking him down.
No.
You had to fight. I was just looking there. It was actually a week after he started training. He went in, took a Muay Thai fight, and he won by KO.
Fucking hell.
Again, what you were saying, Mark, if you look at his record is 14-14, 1-1 in MMA.
Yeah.
Look who we fought.
Like I said, that list of bleeding fighters that I'm just had to read now, that is fucking crazy. Madness. Absolute savage. And he was only stopped a handful of times. Like he wasn't
and really only stopped in the second half of his career when, realistically you're older, you're not going to be that punch resistant, you're that little bit more susceptible to getting knocked out and getting stopped. Like
I don't really have much more to say about him. Other than like I say, king of the walk off.
Yeah.
The heavyweights he's a fun to watch.
You have to kind of think there's a movie in there somewhere, don't you?
He doesn't matter.
Paul, I said to Mark before you logged on, he had a horrible bleeding childhood.
Yeah.
Horrendous, but
his father was actually diddling one of his sisters.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what I mean? He took sticks and belts to him and his brothers and that. Like, really bad childhood. So if you wanted a movie, like, it's all there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real rags to riches story. Like.
Someone should really jump on that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a autobiography or something.
You should read his book. His book is brilliant.
John, wasn't he like unbelievably popular in Japan?
Yeah,
Like, they loved him, like. Yeah. They fucking loved him.
Massive.
Yeah.
Because of the knockouts and all. And he's in there with Ray Safo.
Oh,
And the two of them are standing there, hands down,
unbelievable.
taking shots at each other. And they're like, yeah, you give me one then.
Yeah.
You get that clip on YouTube, Ray Safo, Martin. Fucking
Amazing.
cracking.
Yeah.
Just fun. He's a fun fighter, you know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Excellent. Good stuff. So my one is no surprise to either of you two because I never shut the fuck up about him.
Man crush.
Fanboy bitch.
It is it's Frank Mir. He's kind of an easy one to talk about, not just because I think
You're in love with
he's
him.
so handsome. I mean, he's one of my best favorite heavyweights.
Fighting men.
So he 2 times heavyweight champ. He has the record for the most finishes in UFC heavyweight history.
Oh, really? Many?
He has, I'll tell you now, how many finishes. Yeah, record for the most finishes in heavyweight history. I'll tell you now. Bear with me. I should have written that down, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Since I was actually talking about him.
Shoddy.
He has the most finishes in UFC heavyweight division, 13 finishes.
Jesus. Oh, how many points?
He has 32, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah, 32 total fights. Now, he doesn't have 32 total fights in the UFC. I think he might only have about 17 or 18 in the UFC.
I finished 13. Jesus Christ.
He has the record for the most submissions in the UFC. And
In the UFC or in the heavyweight division?
in the UFC heavyweight division.
All right.
8 wins by submission. He's the first fighter to knock out Big Nog.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then submitted him.
First one to see him as well.
Submitted him in a spectacular fashion. Not your average submission.
Beautiful.
No.
Not your average submission by any stretch. So he made his debut, the UFC debut in 2001, back at UFC 34,
Jesus Christ.
where he got tap out of the night against the 6th degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Roberto Traven. Now, keep in mind, Mir was not a black belt at that stage.
Jesus Christ.
And he got a submission at tap out of the night against
That's
6th degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's mad, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen a 6th degree
No.
Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
He wasn't a black belt at that stage, and he tapped out a 6th degree black belt.
Jesus.
That's crazy, man.
3 years later, he fought for the heavyweight championship against Tim Sylvia in that kind of notorious fight.
He, just for openness, he's a 6th degree black belt now.
Right.
Oh, is he? What was he? Does it say what he was then?
Doesn't say what he was, but either way, he ain't easy to tap out. I mean, in 1999, he won the ADCC Absolute Gold.
Yeah.
He came. He got a silver in the 2000 super fight. Brazilian world champion in the heavyweight, in the over 100 kilo in 98, 99. Brazilian national championship gold in the over 100 kilo, 1995. World master heavyweight 2014 gold. 2014 open class master bronze. He's still tapping.
He's still, yeah. So for Mir to submit him back then was pretty fucking spectacular.
It was.
2004 he faced Tim Sylvia at UFC 48, and I think everyone who's interested in mixed martial arts knows that fight for the bizarre turn of events.
Yeah, it's nuts.
50 seconds into round 1, Mir catches Sylvia's right arm in a straight armbar, and you've both obviously seen it, but if you watch it snaps here twice. You see it snapping and then snapping again. And Mir, I think the referee just taps it and Mir just lets go. And Tim Sylvia is standing there going, "What, fine." What? I'm not on steroids. I mean, what? My arm isn't broken.
Yeah.
If ever there was an advert for a fighter clearly on something, it was
Yeah.
Tim Sylvia going, my arm is fine.
What the fuck, like?
Fucking crazy. No,
And what the fight on?
Yeah, you put the fight on.
Stop the point. Your arm is broke.
Yeah. Until they showed him that, look
Yeah.
on the big screen. Look. Oh, yeah, shit.
Remember me and Luke Kinsler were watching that fight. Shout out to Luke.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, what's he stopping for? What's he stopping for? Like, what's going on here and all? We didn't cop the first time round until we seen the replay.
Oh,
And you know what? I think it was still at that stage as well then when not a lot of people got the ground game.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
Like silence in the arena. They wanted these two big enormous cunts to murder each other. Like,
I'm pretty sure there was people booing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An arm, like.
But they took him to the hospital to get his arm x-rayed. Mir had broken Sylvia's radius and ulna in 2 places, both.
Jesus.
So 4 separate breaks.
He did have a particularly aggressive style of jiu-jitsu, didn't he?
He definitely did. Whenever he got a hold of you, he was looking for the finish.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking for fancy
Positioning
and like that. He wanted get you down, get you into position, and end it.
Yeah.
And
For someone that these lads are like, oh, I don't like it when it goes to the ground and all. Like, they need to be watching these kind of fights to see the damage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, it's fucking terrifying. It's
Yeah.
scary. You know what I mean? If someone that knows where they're down gets a hold of you like that,
Get about
like,
it.
yeah, you hear this thing, oh, I'm going home with his arm and all. Mir was one of these lads that went home with arms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Big time.
Broke arms.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Multiple arms, like.
But and off the back of that fight, Mir got his black belt.
All right. Very good.
So that gave him the vacant heavyweight championship. So he was the heavyweight champion at that stage. Later on that year, then there was the infamous motorbike accident.
Yeah.
That
Maybe kill
I think it shattered his femur or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not
And
as tibia.
like messed up his knee and shit like that.
Yeah, mangled him.
Pretty sure he was
himself.
told he was never going to fight again.
Yeah, I think they pretty much said, look, you
You're
can
done.
knock all this training and all that shit on the head. That's all completely done. And I think even though like he obviously made a comeback from that spectacular comeback considering what happened to him, but I don't think he was mentally all there when he came back. He was beaten by Brandon Vera.
Yeah.
But Brandon Vera was considered at one time to be the next big thing.
Yeah, he was, but I don't think...
Like, he's obviously not now, but at the time...
Bizarrely, Brandon Vera is the heavyweight champ at like 1FC or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, he's fighting absolute nobodies.
Yeah. But the other thing then, didn't he lose to like Ian Freeman shortly after that as well?
Mir?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he did, yeah.
I think he got stopped by him.
Yeah. He then went on to recover somewhat. He did go through a period of a couple of bad losses, but he went on to beat Dutch kickboxer Anthony Herdonk.
Yeah.
If anybody doesn't know who he is,
Google.
he's another one that you should, check him out. They got him in a Kimura. Then he beat Lesnar with the first time they fought. In fairness, Lesnar fucking took him down really handily, got him to the ground, and he was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the ref might have stopped him.
Guess who the ref was?
Mazzagatti?
Of course it was. Fucking idiot.
Did he stop it for like blows to the head?
Blows to the head.
Wasn't really anything going on? Blows to the back of the head?
Yeah.
The head, yeah.
But whatever happened anyway, Mir took the opportunity to then catch the leg as I think Lesnar tried to stand up or tried to post up, and he caught his knee, caught him in the knee bar.
Yeah.
He was then the coach on season 8 against Big Nog, which had them facing off at UFC 92. And if people are squeamish, do not look at that fight because
it's beautiful.
It is. Oh my God, it is absolutely amazing.
And
what
the
a
thing
submission!
Is, he was getting lit up.
Yeah.
He was probably 15 seconds max away from being stopped.
Absolutely, he was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Did the chicken dance, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did. And Nog again. Nog was one of those fighters who I think his striking was quite often underrated for a long time.
Yeah, solid boxer, because I mean, Little Nog was a Commonwealth champion, I think, or at least Commonwealth competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a solid boxer, not the most flexible in regards to kicks.
No.
But a definite solid boxer. He'd hurt you on the feet if you don't have your piece. And
anyone else who had Nog in that position, I don't think would have submitted him, because Nog was never going to tap out to anything.
No.
We all know that he was never tapping out to anything. Yeah. And that's why someone like Mir, who wasn't looking for the tap out,
he didn't give a shit about it.
He was looking for the final part of that movement.
Yeah.
Which was, as
it's
we all know,
beautiful thing to watch. It's a great sequence.
The snap, the
from
upper
literally
arm
just being out and being out of the fight to then just all around. And I'm not even a Mir fan.
To have it in your head, to keep your wits about you, not badly rocked, not badly hurt.
I think that's exactly what you just said. That's the key to how he won that one. To be able to keep your wits about you.
Because it wasn't just he was rocked, went in for the takedown, went in and got a submission. He was rocked, went to the ground, and there was a couple of transitions.
There was. He was caught in a submission.
Yeah.
And he rolled through. If I'm right, it rolled back away around the other way.
That's right.
Then the last roll, Mir did what he did.
And he sank it in real quick. Brutal.
Pretty, but it's fucking. Gives you force.
Yeah.
Heavy going.
Well, like your two choices, Mir had his ups and downs. I mean, his record is like 19 and 14 or something like that. Yeah. So it's not like he's a 30-0 or anything like that. His fight against Cro Cop was probably one of the most boring heavyweight fights ever.
Terrible.
He got spanked by Carwin, and then the second fight with Lesnar.
Well, let's be honest.
Backing up, didn't he? Against these big boys. You can get away with that at certain weights, but the heavyweights,
I think
no forgiveness there.
He had a terrible habit of, when he was facing a barrage of heavy strikes, he would back off and put his head down and move in very, very awkward yet predictable ways.
Yeah.
He didn't have good defensive footwork against a striker.
No.
And he often paid for it. He got caught up against the cage. I mean, Carwin just made min. And Carwin was probably, I think, the heaviest hitter in the heavyweight division at that point.
Yeah.
Well,
Carwin
had to get gloves specially made for his hands.
Yeah.
He was a monster.
Carwin was sending you straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
I always still think it's a shame that he isn't still fighting. He was another great heavyweight to watch. Wasn't the most well-rounded, but man, he was a monster when he hit you. When he put his hands on you, it was.
And he was still working full time as like an engineer or some bullshit.
Yeah, an architectural engineer, absolute brainbox.
Yeah.
So he made mincemeat of Frank's face. Who else?
Lesnar mauled him that second fight.
Lesnar, the second time, Lesnar really, really made him pay for it.
Jesus.
He beat Bigfoot. Ground and pound.
Check Congo finish.
Yeah.
What?
What Mark say?
Check Congo. Remember, he caught him with a big
He caught him overhand left.
His boxing became really crisp. And he caught a big overhand left and then dived on a guillotine and just put him to sleep.
Yep. That was a lovely finish.
We were talking about this around the time. He kind of, after the big Nog knockout and all, he kind of went head hunting a lot.
Yeah.
He did.
Deviated away from
what brought. I don't think it did him any favours either.
Not the long run, probably not.
No.
But again, saying that, like you said, that he
JDS and all.
But he got that. Yeah, he got that big overhand left. Hit Congo, dived in on the guillotine, got him with that. Got the TKO ground and pound over Bigfoot. Performance of the night, submission of the night against Big Nog. He knocked out Todd Duffy. Remember back when Todd Duffy was kind of the new knockout artist.
Yeah. A physical specimen as well. Fucking hell.
Monster,
yeah.
Performance of the night against him. I mean, he's another one of those. I think I already talked about it in one of our other episodes. Another one of those ones was one of my heavyweight fights that should have happened was him against Verdum.
Yeah, that would have been unreal, I think.
I really think that would have been probably one of the... Again, it could have ended up like fucking Mir Krokop.
Yeah.
It could have ended up a fucking snooze fest. We'll never know, but on paper, I would have loved to see them two face off.
You know what? I'd still... at this stage now, I wouldn't like to see them in an MMA fight. I'd love to see them in like an ADCC submission wrestling.
How the two of them haven't crossed paths is insane.
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't anyone be pushing for that either? Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Possibly two of... I go out on the limb and say two of the best heavyweight grapplers that have ever walked into the octagon.
Yeah.
Verdum and Mir.
Bellator now, is he?
Who?
Mir. He's over in Bellator now.
He's gone boxing.
No, I think he's gone from Bellator now. I think his contract is over.
Yeah.
Who's he fighting? Who's that boxing match again, Mark?
Steve Cunningham. It was supposed to be Antonio Tarver.
Tarver, yeah.
Because Tarver's over 50, whatever state it's in, it's an automatic no license.
Okay.
So he's fighting Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham is the fella who fought Tyson Fury and actually knocked him down. He's not a heavyweight. He fights a heavyweight, but he's not a natural heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight. He's been around the block. He's a solid boxer. He's won. I think he's won a couple of titles and that.
Yeah, he's a boxer though, right?
Oh yeah.
And Mir is not a boxer.
Wasn't he supposed to be on that undercard of what's that shit show that's happening? Jake Paul and Oscar. Supposed to be on the undercard of that now that you mention it.
Is it still on the undercard?
Yeah.
I don't know. Honest with you.
He's coming off the last time the other fella fought was 2017, lost in Adam's decision. His record to be patchy, but he's fought some very good fighters. He's beaten some, he's lost some. What's his record? Like 39, what was it? 29-9.
What is the last point there?
Yeah.
He's only been knocked out once. He's a durable fighter. Well known around the scene. He's picked up some good wins. He's had some losses.
Journeyman.
Yeah, I'd say he's better than a journeyman. It probably wouldn't be fair to him to call him a journeyman. He's probably a significant level down or two from absolute world class. He did fight Tarver, the fella who was going to fight, and he had a split decision draw. That was 2015, and around that time, Antonio Tarver was as good as, he was finishing up. That was actually Antonio Tarver's last fight. He just lost that or split draw and just went. I imagine what I'll get Frank through it'll be his bigger size. The fact that I suppose Cunningham isn't a massive puncher. He's a hurtful enough puncher, but he's not in any danger of getting badly hurt, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
I think that whole I don't have.
And those lads going off and doing like submission grappling and that kind of stuff, than boxing and this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a good ending to be had there.
I've no interest in it. I don't have I wouldn't have a massive wealth of knowledge with regards to boxing, but there's nothing on that boxing card that is remotely interesting.
No.
I don't understand. Yeah, it is all money, right? I mean,
yeah.
For
it's
a card like that,
if you know what I mean, like
yeah.
And it really, unfortunately, it shows. And I am a boxing fan, but it does really show where boxing is at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that people are buying. Like,
yeah,
it's not great.
No,
it's not a good look, really.
No, but I prefer Frank to stay away from that shit. And even though I was never a fan of his, I prefer to see him going, and I'd be far more interested in seeing him doing jiu-jitsu and submission grappling competitions against other veterans.
I'll tell you what, his daughter is looking like someone to keep her eye on as well.
Yeah.
She's been doing really well in the grappling circuit, and now she's after. I think she has maybe two fights under her belt now.
She's won them, hasn't she?
Yeah. And she's big as well. I don't know what weight division she's currently in, but I mean, she looks like
solid,
she's
athletic-looking girl.
Yeah, big time. She's one to keep her eye on now.
Yeah.
I mean, Frank Mir's your dad.
Yeah.
you can imagine what sort of pedigree she has. What?
I bet you wish he was your daddy.
No, shut up.
In his head, he is anyway.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yes.
All right, so I just wanted to give a quick shout out. We are going to be having some competitions coming up soon, where the three of us are going to have a chat and work out what we actually will be doing. But we've gotten some prizes donated here and there, so I'm just going to give a shout out to Red Rhino Kickboxing Club. They're based out in Rathcoole. And they very kindly donated something for us to give away in a competition coming up soon. So that's good. I'm also in talks with another chap called Gary Bell, who's a British kickboxer, and he's fought on the circuit himself, and he runs his own gym called a gym and fight organization kind of thing called Contender Gym. So he's another chap who we're going to have on the podcast at some stage, and we also have another special guest coming up soon, which we won't give away now, but we'll be talking to her soon, and we'll have more information on all of that stuff in our next podcast.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sounds good.
So once our 3 followers,
yeah, 300,000 followers,
get in on it.
Yeah,
in on it.
So yeah, that's it. We'll post all shit up on Facebook and all that jazz, and people can.
I'm gonna get off the face. So
enjoy.
You thinking beers and all?
Beers, and then I'm cracking into whiskey, which is my only real true love because it never disappoints me.
You're working tomorrow?
2:00, only for a couple of hours.
I might text you about 10 in the morning and see how your head is.
Yeah, best look at me answering.
I haven't cracked open that bottle of whiskey yet, but I might do so tonight.
Oh, the pad did drop around you?
Yeah.
Are we still recording?
We are still recording.
Shit about this stuff. Yeah, let us know what you think. It's sweet and easy drinking, so for the ladies, so you should like it.
Right up my street. All right, lads, we'll leave it there.
All right,
and sure. Talk to you later.
See you later.
See you later. Peace.
Out.